welcome. I am super excited to be talking to you. And I'm so excited for you guys to meet Colleen and really hear from her how her coaching process works. We just finished the very first professional premium upgrade, which is where she was coaching people from the 60-day novel writing challenge. And so, Colleen, I would love for you to just kind of talk to people either who've already taken professional premium or who are interested in talking to you about your coaching services in the future. What do you have to provide? Why is coaching important?
So, why is coaching important? Coaching is incredibly important because it takes you from a place where you want to do better, but you need help getting there. So a lot of the time people think they can do things on their own. They think they can go out to the internet and get all of the free information and be like, "Oh, I can compile that myself," or "I can do it by myself." But the reality is if you could do it on your own, you already would have. And we waste so much time going out and signing up for freebies that we never open, that we never use, and just kind of thinking that because we can't do it ourselves, then it's out of reach. And coaching actually brings it back into reach. So how it works with me is we work one-on-one. Like every week we meet for an hour. We talk about your writing goals. We talk about everything else that's going on in your life that may be impacting your writing, whether you think it is or not. I've generally found that it doesn't really matter what your problem is. It always comes back to your thoughts. And the way you're thinking about your life, your relationships, your job, your money, your writing, it's all interconnected. And we will work on like any one of those pieces. It can just be writing. It can be another part. But whatever we work on, you can apply to other areas of your life. So what you learn with coaching for writing, you can apply to the problems you have in your life with money or with relationships. And that's kind of the incredible thing about coaching is that the tools you learn in one area apply to all the other areas of life.
That is so exceptional and very cool. And we noticed like with everybody who was taking the professional premium version of the challenge, I think every single one of them finished. And so having you, I mean, I just want to like compliment you so much on like your ability to really help people unlock their full potential. And it is, like you say, it is more than just the writing. Like this does apply to other aspects of people's lives. Can you give like an example of a time that like you've helped somebody in the past and they've gone on to excel? Is that something that you are able to share?
I can give you examples of people who have like these aha moments.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it might take a few sessions for the concepts that we talk about to really kind of click in your head. But once it clicks, it's like, how did I not see that before? And like, how did I not really get that before to now I can apply it to my life in what I'm doing? It's kind of incredible because what most people think is that a coach is like a friend who they can just talk about their problems with. But me as a coach, I'm not going to be like commiserating with you about your problem. We call it jumping in the pool, where I'd be like, yeah, I'm like totally agreeing. This is totally the problem. What I do is I hold space for the clients to be their most authentic selves. It's a place where there's no judgment. And plenty of times when people talk to their friends about their problems, about like their writing issues, about anything else in their lives, they're looking for commiseration. They're looking for someone to agree with them, to tell them what to do. And what I do is I hold the space to not have any judgment. And sometimes those are the most powerful moments for people, is being able to show up with like knowing that they can share anything on their minds. They can tell me that they feel like their writing is terrible, that they're not a good author, that they're a bad person, that they did things that they regret. And my job is not to judge them for any of that. And some like just watching clients come like have that space is profound, because when we talk to our friends about things, we don't get that kind of space. We get like people agreeing with us and be like, yeah, or like F him or whatever if they're having problems with their relationships. And I'm just gonna like not really turn it back on the client, but ask questions for them to come to their own conclusions and consider different perspectives. There's a lot of times where I'll challenge a client with a certain question, and it might take a couple days for them to sit with it and see how that could actually be affecting their lives. And it's going to be the same with writing. Like the how you think about your writing is going to determine your relationship with it, whether you believe it or not.
I love that. So I was wondering, what does a typical coaching session with you look like?
So it's an hour long, and what we do is I come to the call with things prepared to talk about. We might have a little bit of a teaching portion or something that I think would be useful for the client. But I always start off with asking them if they have anything in particular that they want coaching on, because this container is for you to bring your problems to get work on. It's not for me to decide ahead of time what we're going to work on every time unless you don't have something to coach on. And sometimes the questions that I ask, if you don't have something, will immediately bring up something to coach on. And it's kind of funny when I work with people who are thinking like, oh yeah, today's great, like nothing's going on. And I start asking questions about how their week has been and like what has been maybe their dominant emotion. That's a really good one, is if I ask like, so how have you been feeling mostly this week? They might actually come up with something like frustrated or overwhelmed. I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's work on that. Like, why are you frustrated? Why are you overwhelmed? And that can kind of peel apart layers of the onion, especially as we get deeper into coaching, because you'll realize that, like I said before, everything is interconnected. And we might uncover something in session 1 that pops back up in session 5, and we can connect it, and you might have like a light bulb moment there. So the sessions aren't, like I said before, they're not like pre-established, but I will have topics or worksheets or questions that I will ask and like guide the clients through just to have something to work on. So you won't ever come to a session and feel like it was wasted.
That's awesome. And one of the big things that I know holds a lot of writers back is that they have a hard time getting organized with like their schedules and like trying to find the time to write. So I was wondering, I know you have some strong feelings on that. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about like when somebody says, oh, I just don't have time. Like, what is your main response to that?
So thinking or saying, I just don't have time is going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you think and the more you believe it, the more you're going to look at your life and just find evidence that this is true. So how we address that is we look at actually all of the things you're doing and see how they fit in your calendar. You might be finding little pockets of time where you're just scrolling endlessly on Instagram, and you could change that into an intentional period of time where you're writing. You might find little things like that where you're spending your time in a way that you don't actually want to. So we could do a time audit if that's something that people want to do. Those are pretty fun, where you spend like an entire week just like detailing what you do throughout your day, and it can be kind of eye-opening, the amount of stuff that we do that we don't realize how much time it actually takes.
I find that so amazing. And I know that you do so many things in your personal life that like you are not just saying that this is doable, you live it. I mean, you are like full-time job, coaching career, you are an author, what have I missed?
Podcast.
Like podcast and the podcast, you fit so much into your schedule. And I love that you are helping people to learn how to do that as well. Do you have any last minute things that you'd like to add for me and Pumpkin here? I think Pumpkin is also interested in coaching. He could use some sort of time management, some personal space management. I don't know.
I think like I'm just going to leave you guys with, coaching is an investment that I made in my own personal growth, and it is the best investment I've ever made in my entire life, and that includes college. I went through a year and a half of binging a coaching podcast before I signed up for an actual coaching program. And then I spent a year in that coaching program bettering myself with actually all
Sorry, go on, it's fine.
With like all of the tools available to me. Like so the free stuff got me only so far. I was able to do it on my own up until a certain point, and then I realized that I needed help. And that's when I got into the actual coaching program, where I was getting coached by professional coaches and using all the resources available to me. And it turned out that even that doesn't compare to being trained as a coach and being able to teach these tools to other people. It just deepens my own understanding. And actually, part of what I do with my clients is I teach them how to coach themselves. So you never need to rely on me to help you get through something. You can become your first line of defense, basically, for all the problems in your life if you are your own coach. So that's always something I try to teach my clients as well.
That is so awesome. Colleen, we are so glad that you are part of the 60-day challenge and that you are providing coaching to people outside of it. And thank you so much for coming on and just kind of explaining what you do and how it works. And I'm excited for people to start signing up with you.
Thanks for having me.